Hi. Alright, today I want to talk about Wednesday. Because now that the second season has finished and I watched it, I have a lot of thoughts. But let's get into it, shall we? Alright, so in the first season, Wednesday gets expelled from like her regular normie public school because her brother was getting bullied by like the swim team or whatever, so she released piranhas into the pool to try and kill them. So she got expelled, and then her parents were like, okay, we'll send you to Nevermore, which is a school for like the supernatural outcasts. Which I'm still a little confused, I'm not gonna lie. I'm like, do regular people know about supernatural creatures or not? Because it seems like to a degree they do, but then on the other hand, it kind of seems like they don't. Anyway, then Wednesday inherits psychic abilities from her mother, so it runs in the bloodline, and this pulls her into these mysteries involving missing students and violent attacks in the woods that have something to do with a creature called the Hyde.
I also hate so many of the design choices. Why in a world that's supposed to be inspired by early horror film and this sort of cheesy, simple makeup and effects, why instead of trying to create a modern version of a sort of nostalgic, cheesy B-movie feel for the monsters, did they choose to go for this incredibly jarring Plants vs. Zombies cartoony aesthetic that feels completely out of place in the world they're in? Tim Burton, you will pay for your sins.
So, because Wednesday is nosy, she starts investigating into this, like, Hyde creature, trying to figure out who it is, because she knows it's, like, a student or whatever, so she thinks it's this student, and then it actually turns out to be Tyler, who is the son of the chief of police or something, like the sheriff or whatever, and is supposedly a normie. Obviously, he's not. And then we find out that he's getting controlled because Hydes need a master, so he's being controlled by the old Wednesday. I don't remember her name, I'm just gonna call her the old Wednesday because that's who she is to me. Now, along with this whole Hyde thing, Hyde, whatever, there is like this evil pilgrim guy and that is what I completely forgot about. I completely forgot about this whole pilgrim situation in the first season. Like, whatever, there's some evil pilgrim guy named Crackstone and whatever, she defeats him in the end, saves the school, and Tyler gets sent to like a psychiatric hospital. English is hard. And that's like basically the end of the first season. First season I was already annoyed about. I didn't know, when I heard that this show was happening and that Tim Burton was, directing it or whatever, I like a lot of Tim Burton's movies, so I was excited. I thought Jenna Ortega was a good pick for Wednesday, and I didn't know what the show was going to be about, but when I watched it and I was like, what's going on here? Because I think a lot of the charm of the Addams family is that they are this incredibly weird family put into the normal world, like amongst normal civilians, and they're just so strange. And I think that's like such a big part of who they are as characters. And so when you take Wednesday out of those situations and put her into a world that suits her perfectly with other outcasts, quote unquote, it's not as fun because everybody is weird and has powers and like all this other stuff, so it's not interesting to see her in that situation, if that makes sense. On top of that, I'm not against the idea that she has powers or whatever. Like, I think it's a cool add-on, like the whole psychic thing. But I will say, I don't like the fact that she has a lover, or that she has a crush on, what's his name? Tyler. Like, the romance between her and Tyler is just so normal that doesn't make any sense for Wednesday. Like, I don't mind the idea of her, like, falling for somebody, but again, like, I want her to be aggressively pursuing them. Like, chasing them down, giving them, like, weird gifts. Or she would be, like, asexual and, like, nobody. Or she would be a lesbian. I thought she was gonna have a thing with the siren. I just thought there was a vibe there. And then I was like, there doesn't have to be romance at all. I know she's a teenage girl and whatnot, but there just didn't have to be romance at all. I don't know. Did anybody like the romance with her and Tyler? Because, like, I really didn't. I just didn't understand. It felt weird. Didn't make sense to me. And since we're on the topic of romance, one of my favorite parts growing up watching the Addams Family every year was the romance and, like, the love between Morticia and Gomez. And I feel like they're lovey-dovey in the show, don't get me wrong, but not to the degree that they were in the, like, original series. Because in the original, they are so annoyingly, sickeningly in love, like, that they disturb the public. You know what I mean? Like, they are so head over heels, it's not even funny. And in this one, I just don't know if I got that vibe. I feel like in this show, they're more focused on being parents. Which, like, I guess is a good thing. I will say, overall, I did like the casting for both season 1 and 2, so that's an upside.
Wednesday is a terrible television show, which hurts my soul because it's a perfectly cast television show with an ensemble of incredibly talented actors who are basically being strangled by the writing. It's a show that goes truly out of its way to not let its characters have any fun or be given any depth, with one exception. Uncle Fester is the only character who is allowed to be creepy and kooky and silly and goofy, and you actually have a good time while he's on screen.
Alright, so season 2, Wednesday returns to Nevermore, and she's kind of like a school hero because of the events of the first season of her saving the school and whatever. So she has, like, fans and stuff. We also find out that she's writing a book, and before she goes back to the school, we also see that she, during her break, was solving real life crimes? Like, she's Nancy Drew, I guess? Which was kind of annoying because I'm like, okay, in the first season it made sense that she was investigating because she's nosy and because it sort of had something to do with her. You know what I mean? Like, she was having the psychic visions, so, like, it directly had something to do with her. But I'm like, why was she solving crimes just out in the real world? Now, of course, that she's returned to Nevermore, she's navigating new mysteries and family drama and whatever. I just finished watching season 2, by the way, like last week, and I still don't really remember what it's about. What I'm saying is, I think the show is just a little bit forgettable. I will say, like, all the mini plots of the second season kind of coming into, like, a big plot in the end, spoilers. So there's, like, some zombie that Pugsley brings back to life and sees it as his friend and his pet, which is fine, and then that guy turns out to be the brother of Tyler's mom, who is supposed to be dead because she's also a Hyde, but she's not dead. She was just locked away in some creepy science basement at the at the mental hospital. And I don't care. Frankly, I just didn't care. What I did care about is how weird their sibling relationship is. I was waiting for, like, the plot to drop that, oh, they're not actually brother and sister, they're lovers or something, because I was like, the vibes here are very weird. What is happening? But yeah, it turns out Tyler's mom is alive and she becomes his new master because he killed his old master, aka the old Wednesday, and then, like, Tyler wants to, like, get revenge because Wednesday and, what's her name? The werewolf girl, like, sent him to the I don't even know why I keep trying to say it. To the mental hospital. So yeah, I guess that's sort of the plot of this season, is, like, Tyler wants revenge. Yeah. She had a stalker at the end of season 1. and we find out who that stalker is very quickly. It's just another student that's a fangirl, like that's it. Which, let's talk about Agnes for a second. So Agnes can turn invisible, love that for her, and she is probably my favorite character of the second season. And I heard somebody on TikTok talking about this as well, where she is essentially Wednesday. She's what Wednesday is supposed to be.
Also, I saw someone else stated, but what she said needs to be restated. How in a show about Wednesday Addams do you create a better Wednesday Addams than Wednesday Addams? An entire show in which the concept of the Addams family is that they freak other people around them out. Do you create someone who actually freaks everybody out and it's not Wednesday?
But I also really like Agnes. I think she's super sweet, and she really is just like a teenage girl that wants friends. Lady Gaga. I was like, when I heard that she was gonna be in it, I was like excited. I guess they did that because her song like blew up because of all the fan edits, even though her song wasn't even in that part of the first season where Wednesday's dancing. So I was like, maybe that's why they brought her in. I was excited because remember when she was in American Horror Story, the hotel season? I liked her in that. So I was like, oh, Lady Gaga's gonna be in this. And then she was there for like 4 seconds. And I was like, oh, okay. Like, that was a disappointment. So the break between season 1 and 2 is criminal. 2 years? What is it with shows nowadays where it takes 2, 3, 4 years for another season to drop? Like, what is that about? What is that about? And then half the time, there isn't even another season because shows just get canceled right off the bat. Like, they don't even get a chance. When you're doing a show with kids, you know, young teens and stuff, specifically with boys, puberty hits them like a ton of bricks, which we definitely notice in the second season. Like, y'all missed your window. They can't be kids in the first season, and in the second season they like have mustaches and are like full-grown adults. Like, hello? I hate that so much. That's why I'm not that excited for Stranger Things, to be honest, because it started when these kids were kids, and now they're grown adults in real life, and they look like grown adults, especially the boy. And like, what's her name is married. Anyway, the point is, you cannot have that big of a break when you're doing a show with kids. So that was annoying. And also with the second season, let me get this out of the way right now, the fact that Netflix broke it up into like 2 parts, I know they love doing that with other shows, but this show did not need that, like, oh, wait another month to watch the second part of season 2. I was like, what? I'm like, buddy, the first part of the second season doesn't have me excited enough to, like, wait for the next part, if that makes sense. Time does not always make the heart grow fonder, right? It just doesn't. Moving on. The CGI is bad. The storyline is bad. Wednesday definitely needs to be put in her place. I understand that she's a teenager that thinks she knows everything, but she's very annoying. Point is, the show Wednesday is disappointing, to say the least. So what do I want to see going forward? Well, I need the show to be more memorable, because right now it's not. And I want to know in seasons going forward, I want to know more about the supernatural world since you brought us into it. I want to know more about the other students and their powers and abilities. And at this point, I'm assuming that the rest of the seasons are still going to be Wednesday being like Nancy Drew, which I think is boring. It was already okay. By the time season 1 ended, now we're in season 2 and she's still doing this Nancy Drew stuff. Boring. I don't know what else the show's gonna be about, but yeah, her like solving the school mystery, boring. It worked for the first season because it made more sense for the first season because she just got her powers, but now it's just boring. We need to be more exciting. I don't know what has to happen, but I think the charm of Tim Burton's work is usually that it's dark and romantic, creepy, but like sweet. There's, you know what I mean? There's like this nice duality between it, and I think Wednesday just doesn't have that at all. It doesn't feel creepy enough or dark enough for like the lighter, lighthearted parts of it to feel interesting. So I don't think I have anything else to say about this show. I think I'm just disappointed. I don't know if you could tell by the longer I was talking. I'm just like more and more disappointed. So, yeah. Bye.